guys know anything at all about Gillian?
No.
I dated a girl here once,
Like,
Amy Chris.
Okay, that's something that you're killing
no,
us
it's
on.
not relevant.
Is
Like,
that something she would admit?
Yeah, she was cool. I was cool. We were 21 and 20.
Okay, Len.
20.
okay, so.
Met her in Fort
Okay.
Clinton. She was fun.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you, have you watched any of the YouTube videos or anything about the house?
Nope.
I didn't have time. They didn't tell me about
Well, there's
this
like
until I
400
finished.
YouTube videos about this house, including Adam Kimmel. He knows Adam.
Who does?
Adam been here? He's been
Oh,
here.
yeah, I've met Adam here. I'm just gonna do it in an unorthodox way tonight, a little bit. Just tell you some famous names associated with the house, and then we'll go through and talk to you about why they are. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, John Deere,
I owned one of his engines.
Henry Lee, who you've never heard of before, but he founded a company that made blue jeans.
Lee's jeans.
Yes.
Yeah. He's been here.
Katharine Hepburn,
No
Jimmy
kidding.
Stewart,
Oh my.
Cary Grant. So those are some good names to drop.
That's
Not all
awesome.
of-
Harvey Firestone.
Harvey Firestone,
President Hardy.
yes. So all of those people have been associated with the house or the family at one point in time. In fact, one of them is pictured in the photograph there,
Okay.
which is actually a photograph taken if you walked around the house.
Yeah, we saw that. That's where the
There's a
swing
porch.
goes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's Henry Ford there on the right.
That would have been my favorite place in this house, that porch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now that porch is used, the next one's coming up this Sunday for concerts. People sit in the lawn underneath those copper beech trees,
Okay.
and they listen to concerts on the east porch.
Ah.
So,
So is that like something that happened over the years?
no, we just introduced that.
Okay, because I noticed that there's a huge tree out there in front of the porch, and then there's two consecutive rings around it
Yes.
that are 3 brick wide.
Yes,
But they're not regular circles. They're
They probably used to
no, you don't move. The dirt won't move. They come together like here's the tree, like this, and then here's the porch, and these two bricks go like this, and then they open up when they're coming around the back side of the tree, then they close again up by the porch. And I'm trying to figure out what that was.
well, the bottom line, that's a great question. The bottom line about this house is we were trying to figure out what things were the moment we got the house. And there's a reason for that. We got the house 8 years ago. And at that time, we bought it from the third owners of the house. And so we're the fourth owners. We're a nonprofit corporation that owns the house. Gene and I are both on the board. So that's kind of, the whole house has been a mystery to uncover. When we first got the house, we were given a very short period of time to decide whether to buy it or not. This hardwood floor that you have here was covered with green shag carpeting. We didn't know if that was there. We didn't know if any of the pocket doors were in the house. And as it turns out, all 7 of them on the first floor are here. But that's kind of sort of the story of the house is there was no picture that we had of the inside of this house before 2005. Now, mind you, the house was finished in 1903.
Right.
So for 100 years, we had no idea what the inside of the house looked like. And then, a couple of years ago, the descendants of the builders of the house sent us some pictures, just a handful. And so now we have a few pictures of the inside of the house.
That's nice.
One of which is looking into the stairway.
Right.
So a little bit about the family that built this house. This is the Gil House because it was the Gil family. When they built this house, again, 1903 is when this house was built. The Gils had lived in Gillian almost 100 years already. They arrived in 1818. They were the second family of settlers from the east to come to this part of Ohio. They settled in a property which is about 3 blocks north of here, along the Olentangy River. You ever heard of the Olentangy?
Mm-hmm.
which flows down by Ohio Stadium in Columbus.
Yeah.
It starts.
Right along 315.
Exactly.
Olentangy River Road.
Yes, it
Yeah.
starts here in Guyana, right outside of.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
And flows through here. If you go 2 blocks here, you'll see a bridge.
Okay,
That's
that's it.
Olentangy.
All right.
It's nothing like what you see in Columbus.
Yeah.
No, it's small, it's a tributary up here. You probably couldn't even get a jet ski or a canoe in some places.
No, you can't. It's a creek here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is the Olentangy River. It does start here. So they settled here in 1818. Guyon's first school teacher was David Gil, the husband of the. They came from Philadelphia area, and they moved here. Over the next 5 years, another 20 families came, and then by the 1840s, Guyon was probably about 500 people. And then in the early 1850s, Guyon received a railroad, came through town.
Got the spur.
And because of that, we became a railroad center. We were a railroad center through the end of the 19th century. We were actually divisional headquarters for the Big Four Railroad, which is the railroad that goes from Cleveland to Columbus, the main route. And that's why we have this giant railroad depot downtown that we're currently in the process of restoring. The city is. So again, the Gils moved here in 1818. The oldest son of the couple that moved here in 1818, his name was James. He built the first Gil House on this site, and this was about 1850. And it literally sat right here where this house is.
Okay.
When they started this house, at the beginning of 1903, they decided to move that house, and they moved it back over here, and it's still there.
Which one is it?
It's the greenhouse on the other side of the driveway.
On the other side of
When
the,
we first pulled in, that.
right
Yeah.
there,
yeah.
right there.
In the
That was
20s
that.
and 30s, they expanded it, and then eventually they put siding on it, but the original house is inside of it.
Okay.
1903, when they finished the house, this is what it
There's
looked like.
the original house.
Oh
what it looked
my,
like.
yeah. Now that's the best. Look at that.
As you can see,
It's such a
they wanted
majestic
to make a
home.
statement.
Yeah, they did.
Now, at that time, the family that built this house, the couple that built this house, were the grandson of the original Gil in Guyana.
Okay.
His name was Bloomer Gil. Bloomer and Nellie Gil, and they
Great
built this
names.
house. Yeah, he went by B.B. Gil, which you would do.
Sure.
And he worked for one of the largest wheel manufacturers in the United States that was here in Guyana. And because this was at the time when buggy wheels were turning into car wheels, and they were actually using buggy wheels on the first cars.
Mm-hmm.
So Bloomer Gil used to go up to Detroit a lot, selling that and being the representative for this wheel manufacturer. And he got to be great friends and buddies with a man named Henry Ford. So Bloomer Gil and Henry Ford were good friends. We are told through family sort of like legend that's been passed down, Henry Ford was the very first person seen driving a car in Guyana. Which,
I can see that.
That's perfect.
yeah. And in the 1920s, he came down here a lot, and there he is
Yeah.
in the 1920s.
He's hanging out on that porch, and I'm gonna get a
Sitting
shot
in there
of
with
that.
Bloomer Gil and Nellie Gil, and their Bloomer and Nellie's son Jimmy.
Oh, it's so cool.
Can I bring this over there too?
Yeah, stick it in front of the video camera for a second so people can see it too.
Are we live?
No, just
Okay.
recording GoPros.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So is the garage original to
No.
the property also?
I
Okay.
told you it wasn't.
All right.
Said
No.
you're too big for a Model T. I told you.
Yeah, this is
The
kind of how they would have had a Model T, because
Well,
they're best friends with
That's
Ford.
what they had here.
But
They had a carriage
My,
house.
my point to him was if you have money, you would build something bigger. Now, if you're a car guy, you're definitely gonna have something bigger. If you have a bunch of car guys coming down, you would think that would be the place that they would hang out as a garage.
I'd
To
love to
me.
be able to answer that question for you, but that garage is not older than 1920 probably.
Okay.
No, and the door has been replaced.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I figured. I figured they would have replaced the door along the
So
way.
we've got Bloomer and Nellie Gil who
Yes.
built this house. Nellie was from a wealthy family here in Guyana. Her large mansion, where she grew up in the 1860s, is also still standing. It's in the middle of town. And her best friend from her high school years, if you want to say that, or teen years, was a lady named Mina Miller, a girl named Mina Miller. Nellie ends up marrying Bloomer Gill and settles here. Mina Miller ends up marrying Thomas Edison. She was Thomas Edison's second wife. So Mrs. Gill's best friend was Mrs. Edison. So the Edisons have been here as well.
Is this electrical installed by Mr. Edison here?
We don't know that.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
All we know is
the original dude put it in this place. Because he did that in other places out east.
Yeah,
When he came up with his AC, he started putting it in people's buildings. There was a big story about that and how he pushed past
Oh,
Tesla and his DC
all
stuff.
the AC versus DC stuff.
Yeah, that was huge back then.
Well, Bloomer and Nellie had 4 children.
Okay.
There they are. Left to right, that is Mary, James, Mina, and Isabel Gill. Now, when I said Mina, point to where she is, Jane.
This one?
Yep,
Number 3.
that's Mina Miller Gill. She's named after Mrs. Edison. Now, that was given to us
Are
by
these-
Isabel's daughter.
Are these Edison's kids? No.
No, these are the Gill kids.
These are the
kids,
kids.
These are the kids of Bloomer and Nellie.
Okay.
But again, Mrs. Gill named it after her best friend, Mina Edison. So, Mina Miller Gill. And Jimmy is obviously the only young man, he's the only boy of the 4. He had a really kind of interesting life. He's pictured in there, he's on the left there. He ended up marrying a lady, their honeymoon trunk sits in the sitting room
Yeah.
in there. If you would open that up, and Jane will probably do that for you later, his tux, his wedding tux is actually inside.
That's impressive.
The Gills were tiny people, very small people. That tux, well, you'll see, you'll find out. But when you go upstairs, the bathtub, the sink is really low. It's like, not hobbits, but I mean, they're like very small
It's
people.
an
Tiny people.
easy work for the horses back then. Yank around small people.
So another thing happened when Bloomer would go up and hang out with Henry Ford and everything. He got the best architect in Detroit to design this house. His name is Louis Camper, and Louis Camper is the architect for why at the time Detroit was called the Paris of the Midwest.
Yeah, it was.
Because it had beautiful hotels and monumental buildings. The most important hotel ever built in Detroit is called the Book Cadillac, as in Cadillac cars.
Mhm.
That's designed by Louis Camper.
Wow. So he built this too.
So
Wow.
he designed a handful of these, what are referred to as neoclassical houses, which are with classical ornamentation, the columns, the very symmetrical lines. Of all the ones that Camper designed, this is the only one still standing.
They gotta keep it standing. Wow.
And this is a copy of the original architecture.